Okay, what will you do for me is pot that plant. There's that. Try not to make too much of it, I guess. Okay, and whilst Mark's doing that, it's a tulips, Mark. They're pink and lovely, so it's good. Right, so for those who don't know me, I'm Matthew. I'm Mark's best man. I've been living with him for the last 4 or 5 years-ish sort of thing. So I've known Mark quite well. I had a bit of a problem though when Mark asked me to be his best man. I kind of thought, really, how can I be the best man? It's not me actually getting married. So surely Mark's the best man. I got put up with being just sort of an okay man. So that's all right with me. So let's say we've been living together for the last few years. So as a way of disclaimer, you did very well there, Mark.
Thank you.
He has. There needs a disclaimer. Obviously, I've spent my formative years with Mark, so any sort of problems and my sense of humour can really just be put down entirely to him, or that's my excuse anyway. So apologies if anything's a bit over the top. Just that. So yeah. Over the years, I've noticed some of Mark's little quirks. Whenever I first met him, I thought, Mark, he's quite sort of odd, really. He's a bit of a geek and a bit of a messer. He's always mess sort of kicking around him. Don't know, really. Pop those balls. So, obviously we got like the house on fire because I'm all 3 of those things myself. Albeit Mark's a much harder grafter than I am, and his studying is quite frankly ridiculous. But thankfully that's all over him now, I think. So obviously then Mark met Tina, and I moved in with Mark shortly after he met Tina. And I started to notice a few sort of changes in Mark. He can be a bit sort of uncoordinated at times. You'll walk into a room with a full plate of food, and all of a sudden it's on the ground and somehow underneath the carpet. But he sort of gradually became sort of a bit cleaner, and just everything was a bit better in that respect. Also a bit of the addict in regards to Starbucks. We have an endless supply of these massive, they're bigger than me to be quite frank, mugs that you can drink coffee out of. And Mark, he had a few episodes of the caffeine shakes, I remember a few times in 2nd and 3rd year, but he's off the coffee, so that's all good. I also attribute that to him. But really sort of having sort of been in the flat with Mark and having seen Tina's sort of influence on him, I think it's really all down to Tina's sort of wit. She's an incredibly witty person, very caring at the same time. So whenever she's slagging Mark off about having just spilt a plate of food or something, she can go and give him the pat in the back, and everything's all well in the world. So that worked out quite well. So kudos, Tina. Okay. Sorry, I did write this last night. I do apologise. I don't like reading from things. But yeah, I'm really just constantly taken aback by Tina's wit. I remember whenever I first met you, I thought you were a bit sort of quiet, a bit sort of reserved. But then within a few months of me moving into the flat, you were insulting me like everyone else. So everything was quite normal then. But just sort of being up at the altar there, I've just said to these guys before, there's always this sort of dogma associated, I don't know if dogma is the right word, but a lot of tradition associated with weddings that people just sort of go through the motions. And I wasn't really sort of feeling it at all. I was like, this is a marvelous occasion. But whenever we're standing up at the altar today, and I could just sort of catch the corner of Tina's eye, I thought, this is really something. This is totally magical. And it's quite clear that you guys are very deeply in love. And I know Mark could do absolutely anything for you. He tells me all the time. Also, how lovely you are. And I'm like, yes, I know already. Well done, Mark. Thanks very much. But yeah, so that's really about it. Mark, obviously I would advise you to probably keep on sort of increasing your cleansiness. I was in the flat this morning actually, and it is sparkling. So, obviously just going off the back of that entire love thing too, that wet area in the kitchen, the more time you spend around there, the more Tina will love you. That's what my dad says apparently. So, I swear by that one. And Tina, quite clearly Mark is gullible and therefore potted that plant for me. But this one's actually for you. It's a conifer, okay? So it'll probably grow to be about the size of a house in about a week. And will require constant repotting. So if you have to, get rid of Mark for a bit, you really sort of time yourself to say, Mark, it's that conifer. It's looking a bit small in that pot, so you're going to repot that one. And quite clearly, you'll repot anywhere. Okay, folks, that's it for me. I'll sit down now and be quiet.